Hi, Dave Weiss here with the AmuckArts.com video blog of the day. I wanted to tell you, I'm getting ready to do a workshop at a church this coming week. And so you might not see blog posts for a couple days, but I wanted to share with you something that I've been going through. Usually when I do workshops, I usually do them for church folks. I usually do them for folks who are not necessarily artists, but who want to learn to use different ways to communicate the gospel, or to help someone in their church use their gift to share the Word of God or share the love of God in one way or another. They're not really artists necessarily so much, but they're looking for a tool to use. This workshop is going to be different. This workshop is for artists, period. Whether or not they're involved in the church, they're artists. And I have to admit, I was really excited about doing this, and then as it got closer, I got more and more nervous about it. I started to wonder and question my own abilities. A lot of the stuff I've been talking about the last couple weeks on the blog, I started to question my own abilities. I started to wonder how my work would stack up in front of people who are actual real artists. And it started to make me nervous. Am I good enough to even do this? And what I started to realize was I can't be what they want me to be. I have to be who I am. And so I decided that rather than talk about art and try to teach people who already know techniques and who might even be much better than me, that I was going to talk about what it is that I actually do, using art to tell a story, to share a story. So I'm doing this thing called the Art of Story. And like I say, it's something that is really kind of near and dear to my heart. I need to stop making excuses for my art. A lot of times I do my art very quickly. I use my art ability to do something very quickly because what I'm really interested in isn't the art, it's telling a story. And so I need to make no excuses and no apologies. My work does what it's created to do. But still, somewhere in the back of my mind are these little doubts about what will a room full of artists think about what I do. I get self-doubts sometimes. How about you? But here's the thing. I started to think about the fact that I always tell people that I gave up doing art for art's sake a long time ago. That gets me in trouble with artists sometimes. But it's the way I am. I'll get more into that sometime as I tell you my story, but art for art's sake went out the window for me a long time ago. I found a new purpose for my art. Art is no longer the be-all, end-all for me. It's a means to an end. It's a tool. It's a tool I get to use to tell a story. Now, in my case, it's the story of God, the story of what He does in my life, what He expects from His people, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But today, I don't want to deal with that right away. I want to talk about art that tells a story. There's going to be 4 parts to my workshop. There's this introduction that I'm going to do. We're going to look at a story. Then we're going to do a fun exercise, which is basically allowing folks to use their own gift, their own talent, to tell a part of their story. And we're going to share, and then I'm going to do one of my favorite art stories. And then finally, I'm going to tell them my whole story. Telling that story is kind of tough sometimes, but it really gets to the core of who I am and who God is in me and what God's done for me. So I really just value your prayers for this week as it's coming up here. And I just ask you to help me to ask you to pray for me to use my gifts to tell the story. Now, lastly, I want to ask you for something. If you were standing in front of a room of artists, what would you want to tell them? What would you want them to know? I really appreciate it, and I might even use some of them. See, for me, art has become subservient to the story. So what's a story? Well, I love Donald Miller's definition of it, and I'm going to leave you with this for today. Story is a character who wants something and overcomes conflict to get it. What's your story? God bless.